Aubrey, I legit think that this is the best IELTS podcast.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I love the way you used legit. This is what we're teaching today. There are 3 different meanings of the word legit, related, but a little bit different. And they're all so useful for IELTS speaking.
Yes, this is such a great way to learn this vocabulary, guys. So you have one term, one word that you can use in many different ways. And
Right.
stay until the end, guys, because in the first half of today's episode, we will teach you these 3 different vocabulary words slash phrases slash usages. And then at the end of today's show, we will use the vocab in model part 1 and part 3 answers. All right, let's get into it. What is the first meaning? This very slangy way that I used legit at the beginning.
Yeah, it means the same as very or really, right? If you could say like this dessert is legit delicious, it means it's very delicious, but it's super slang and therefore high scoring. I don't think I've ever heard a student use legit in this way.
You know what? We've mentioned this slang word in the past, like a long time ago,
Mm,
and I actually did hear 1 or 2
nice.
students in VIP one-on-one classes with me use this, and I was like so
Delighted.
impressed. I was like, "How did you know that word? Students never know that word," and they're like, "We learned it from you." It's like,
Nice. You were tickled
"Yay!"
pink. That's a little
I
callback
was.
to our previous episode. It's true. You're just delighted when something we've taught here on the podcast, we then hear our students use in their answers, especially because we know how it will improve your score on test day.
Guys, if you missed last episode, that's where Aubrey mentioned that she was tickled pink. You missed a great episode on Tuesday, guys. Scroll up just the last one, IELTS Energy 1383. The title was Amazing Adverbs Part 3, idioms that are on the nose. So don't miss that one, guys. More Band 9 vocab in that episode. All right. So the example that you said, this dessert is legit delicious. Amazing. It's used as an adverb there, but we can also just use it as an adjective. Like that dessert was legit, meaning like it was the best thing like they said it was. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like if they advertise that this is the best chocolate cake in the world and you're like, "Oh my gosh, that chocolate cake was legit," or legit the best. Like both are correct.
Yes, and that's the second meaning here, which they're so similar, but we're using them just a little bit differently, right? We might say
Mhm.
like cheesecake is legit, and here it means like very good. You don't need to say delicious or good. Just legit by itself means very good. So depending on how you use it in a sentence, I mean it's perfect for part 1, part 2, this is still very slang to use it in this way, to just say like, "Oh, my trip was legit." It means it was amazing.
Yeah, totally. So it does have both of those meanings. And remember, guys, that legit is short for legitimate, but it's also here is short for the adverb, right? Legitimately, like legit the best. Like that's short for legitimately, right?
Yes,
And I would say that's actually mostly how we use it is to mean
totally.
just like very or really. So make your vocabulary learning strategic. Choose the meaning that you will be most likely to use or that's easiest for you to use. I recommend using it as the slangy adverb, right? So just put legit before an adjective to mean very good. And you're hitting that band 9 native natural vocab.
Yes, that's such a good point, and especially to think about in part 1, if you were to instead say legitimately, it would sound too formal. It would sound strange, right?
Yeah,
This
be
dessert is
weird.
legitimately fantastic. Are you the queen? Right? It's too formal. So on part 1,
Are you the queen or
instead,
something?
legit.
I love it. That's awesome. All right. So the last way that we can learn and use this word is to use the full word, right? Legitimate. And as Aubrey said, this is a more formal word. So we reserve this for part 3. And here, let's just use it to mean real, the most common definition of legitimate, like real, to say, I went to the Louvre, and these are like legitimate portraits by legitimate masters.
Yes, exactly. Or if you're talking about reducing crime, maybe you could say if a city wants to make legitimate change, they have to establish effective
Nice.
policies. This is such an impressive adjective to boost instead of saying real. If you find yourself about to say real change, swap it
Yeah.
out with legitimate.
All right, so let's show our students how to use this on the exam. Aubrey, I'm going to ask you a part one question, and then you're going to ask me a part three.
Perfect.
Cool?
Yes, ready.
Okay. Um, Aubrey, do you wish you had more free time?
Oh, absolutely. I legit have no spare time during my day. I'm running kids around, driving them to practices, trying to squeeze in work when I have time. And then, of course, I love sports. So I'm trying to participate in leagues and fun sports activities. So I don't have 2 seconds to rub together during the day. Nap? Forget it. It's not possible.
I don't have 2 seconds to rub together. That was so
I actually say
good.
that a lot. I'm like, I just wish I had like 2 minutes to rub together. Like, I wish I had 2 extra minutes, 2 spare minutes. And then I just rub them together.
Oh, because that is an idiom. I don't often hear it used that way, although you can use
Yeah.
it that way, right? How do I hear that more often? I think it's to describe if someone is like broke, if they like don't have any
Mm,
money and they're like, I don't have 2 pennies to rub together. And it's just like, I'm really
totally.
broke. But what I want you guys to notice from Aubrey's answer is how extreme it is. Like, we love to exaggerate, right? To say, like, I legit have no free time. Like, or I legit don't even have time to breathe during the day. It's like we're
Totally.
we're very much exaggerating, and that's a really natural, fun way to
And
communicate.
it gives you so many opportunities to have better pronunciation, better intonation, because otherwise, of course, I have a couple of spare seconds during the day, but it's going to be sort of boring if I say, like,
I
I have a
know.
little extra time. No, right? Exaggerate, be extreme to get that intonation and that fun vocabulary.
Just reminded me, like, what if you answer this question in the most boring way possible? It's like, do you wish you had more free time? And you're like, well, I do have about 10 minutes a day, but I could do with more. Or like just is so
Totally.
honest and boring. Like that would
I
be
know, right?
terrible.
This is really a pro tip to exaggerate. It's going to pull out so much more descriptive language, those adjectives, those adverbs, and then you have a chance to emphasize them to boost all of your scores.
Totally. All right. Let me see if I could use legitimate in a part three.
All
Will you
right.
ask me a question?
Yes. Is it more difficult for a small business to be successful today than it was in the past?
Oh my gosh, without a shadow of a doubt, it's more difficult. Call back to the last episode, guys,
Yes.
without a shadow of a doubt. Okay, starting over. Without a shadow of a doubt, it is really challenging for a small business to be successful today. I mean, with the power of these like enormous mega corporations that own everything, it seems legitimately impossible for a small mom and pop business to thrive. Be it a brick and mortar shop or like an e-commerce store. I don't know how any entrepreneurs manage to make it today.
Oh, this is so good. I'm glad that you used it in that form, legitimately, because yes, you can use legitimate to mean real, but this is also super useful to, instead of saying like legit as slang in part one, your more formal answers to say legitimately instead of really, truly.
Yeah.
This is really
Yeah.
high scoring because it's just less common.
All right. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we have a Spotify poll, guys. We want you to, if you are listening on Spotify, check out the Spotify poll. Just look at the episode. And we want to announce a recent poll we did because it had some interesting
Yes,
results.
I loved this one. We asked you guys who does most of the housework in your home. Thank you to everyone who answered the poll. I was legitimately interested in this.
Me too.
Votes adding legitimately there, impressive, if I do say so myself. But we got a lot of votes for this, so we can see that a lot of you care, right? You're interested. And what were the
Yeah,
results,
totally.
Jessica?
So 71% of you said you do the housework, which doesn't surprise
No.
me because, you know, you're listening to this podcast, you're studying for IELTS, you're obviously motivated adults who probably take care of a lot of responsibilities in your life, right? So that does not surprise me. 11% said your partner, so very low. And then other, 17%. I wonder who the other
I
is.
am really curious about that too. Maybe
Kids,
kids for
parents.
me. Maybe house
Yeah, I don't
cleaners,
know.
right? If you're like, I'm busy
Oh,
studying for IELTS,
right.
I'm going to hire someone to clean. Hey, that's really smart actually. Then you have all this extra time to study.
Yeah. More power to you.
Yes,
Do that if you can. Oh
right?
my gosh. I would love for someone to come clean my house for me. All right, guys. So make sure you check out today's poll. Which do you think is legit delicious? Ice cream, cookies, or cake?
Yeah. You have to choose. You have to choose which of the three.
Which is like the legit best dessert out of
Right.
those three for you. So stay tuned, guys. Hit follow so you don't miss those results. And we'll see you next week.
Awesome. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.